Welcome. This podcast is powered by Royalty Roofing. Crown your home and commercial building with royalty. My name is Mel Scaturro. I am the Business Development Manager here at Royalty Roofing, and I will be your host this evening. And my special guest today is Brianna Peitz. Welcome, Brianna. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm going to read just real quick because I can't memorize this.
That's okay.
A little bit of information about Brianna. Brianna is the founder and owner of A.L.I.G.N Consulting. A.L.I.G.N is a business consulting firm that specializes in personalized coaching consulting services with an expertise in sales, training, leadership development, team building, and business etiquette. Her primary focus is on sales, marketing, and hospitality. Also, she is involved with a variety of community initiatives, including the chair of the Global Women's Forum, an event dedicated to empowering women through leadership, entrepreneurship, and personal development. Again, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited for you to share all your wisdom with us.
Thank you. Gosh, that sounds like a really great highlight reel, doesn't it?
You sound great.
Yes, all those accolades where nobody sees the mess behind the scenes, right?
That's
Good.
it.
Yes.
So we're here to talk a little bit about how you started your own company.
Yes.
Can you give us a little bit of background information on how you started it, why you started it, and maybe a little bit of some of the challenges that you ran into?
Yes. So I started A.L.I.G.N Consulting about 2 years ago, 2 years ago in March, and I was in a position where I was doing business development for a company. I had been doing that for about 4 years, and I just started to feel like I was a little bit burned out, and I was feeling like what my skill set was doing for one company, I could be doing for multiple companies. And honestly, I have you to thank, Mel.
Oh.
You had started a tips group a long time ago, and I was invited in for business development. And you introduced me to a whole bunch of people that were just an extension and an expansion of my network. And I appreciate you so much. I know you probably didn't know that we were going to talk about this, but you really helped shift and guide just, a lot of things I didn't know about tips groups and things that I needed to be more aware of as far as just kind of an ear to the ground, knowing what's going on in the community, being able to share advice, share tips, but also take the knowledge and information I was given and go utilize that in my business development industry. So again, I was just kind of getting burnt out, and I knew for a long time that I wanted to start my own business.
I remember you talking about that.
I did, and the time just didn't ever seem to be right. Have you ever bought a car and then all of a sudden you notice that car everywhere?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Right? Like, so you're like, I'm going to drive a white Jeep, and then all of a sudden you see white Jeeps everywhere. Or you pick the perfect name for your child, and then all of a sudden everyone names their child that name, right?
Yes.
And you think you're being unique. So what was interesting about that is I had not quite landed on a name yet. And I kept thinking, well, gosh, I'm just not aligned with what I'm meant to do. I'm not aligned with my passion and my purpose and what I know I'm good at. And I felt like I just kind of kept jumping jobs in a sense, looking for that passion or looking to put it into somewhere where I felt it belonged. And I was listening to podcasts, I was listening to the radio, I was in conversation, and the word align kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And I thought,
you're getting those signs from
there
everywhere.
It is. Yes, it's kind of like seeing the car everywhere and naming the child, right? And so I finally named my business in my head long before I ever started it.
Okay.
And so what the premise of A.L.I.G.N Consulting is to really help people with alignment of who they are personally, how they develop professionally, and do their core values match what they say they want to do. So it's core values, core competencies, and then are you living that out and executing? And are you taking that and serving others? So that's where that came from. Long story short.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
So tell me a few of the challenges that you ran into.
We'll limit it to a few. We'll limit it to a few challenges. The biggest, I think, hurdle that most people face when they start a business is they think, I'm just going to put it out there and people are going to flock to me.
Right.
So not the case, right? I mean, you can spend lots of money on brick and mortar. You can spend it on advertising. You can spend it however you choose. But just because you put it out there, doesn't mean you're going to get something in return. And actually quite the opposite. Typically, you're going to find more friction and resistance than you are open arms.
Yes.
So that was my first challenge is, yes, I have some ideas of what clients look like, but I didn't really know who they were.
Right.
And, we all depend on income to pay our bills.
Yes. That would be
So
my biggest fear.
That
Absolutely.
was the biggest challenge is, if this doesn't work, I know that there's another alternative. I can go find another job.
Exactly.
But my dream and my passion are on the line. And if I don't do this, I'm missing out on all of that. So
Right.
the challenge was me in my own head, first of all. And then second was being able to articulate what I'm doing and who I can help. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not so great at, but being able to articulate that where people can go tell other people what I do.
Right.
You're in roofing. That's obvious, right?
Right. It's in the name of my company.
Yes. Yeah. And what do you do with roofing?
Right. You fix them, you repair them, you put on new ones.
Correct.
So finding that elevator speech for you must have been very difficult.
It was, yes. And it's not just something where people can look at a roof and go, well, that makes sense, right?
Right.
There's hail damage, there's shingles missing, we need to fix the roof. Helping people with a personal development style of coaching it's a different challenge because it's not a one size fits all. And I know that I'm not the coach for everyone, but I need to find the people I am for.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and I can imagine also that I know I need some coaching. I can't articulate to you exactly what.
Right.
But I want you to come in and help me.
right.
Just figure it out. Figure out my problem and you help me. You know?
And that's very common. Most
Yes.
people, they either feel like, I don't know if I'm in the right place, right? Like the alignment, I just feel like something's not right. I'm either not working where I want to work, I'm working too many hours. I feel like there's a harmony imbalance where I'm not able to be a mom and a wife and a working, individual, or it's just maybe I'm, tired of working for somebody else and I want to work for myself. And so it is challenging to, even from your perspective, someone looking for a coach to articulate, what do I actually need?
I know. You have to do a lot of digging, soul digging. You would have to dig into my soul and I would have to figure it out with you.
Yes. I mean, I probably should go get a psychology degree. That might be next because I feel like
I'm sure
90% of what I do is psychology driven.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. And as a coach,
Yes.
you probably have a coach.
Yes, I've had many coaches in my life.
Okay.
I would say that I am not where I am because of me at all. That'd be dangerous if I said that I was the one that did all of this, right? I kind of had this philosophy that I didn't invent water, right? I mean, personal development has been around for decades and decades and decades and decades. I didn't invent it. What I did is I took what I've learned and I put it into a malleable form that people can digest, right? And I kind of compare it to some people like ice cubes in their water and some people like it room temperature and some people just like it cold. I'm not the coach for everyone, but there is a place for me and there's a place for other coaches.
Right.
Most recently, I would say, what I typically tell people too is that, if you're looking for a mentor, you can find them anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be even someone you know. And I have been mentored by podcasts. I've been mentored by speakers on stage. I've been mentored by people in my life that maybe didn't even know that they were mentoring me, that I've just learned from. I mean, even kind of going back to your tips group. I felt like that was a mentoring session for me as well. I learned things about, how do I connect this business with this business? And how do I, correctly listen for things that I need to know to be a better connector? So yes, I've had many coaches. I can't pinpoint one.
No.
Yes, but it's, mentorship is, it can be a very intimate one-to-one. It can be a group setting, and it can be someone you've never met before. You know?
Right. You're following people on LinkedIn because you like their stories. You like I do that. I mean, they, it's sort of like, I don't know. It's strange following people you have no idea who they are. But,
that's how they get paid. Yeah, that's how they get paid, right?
Very true, very true.
So it is. It's just a part of the process is that you're, you're finding coaches for things that you may not know you need.
Right.
But then you hear something and you're like, I needed that.
That would be perfect. That would be so helpful to me.
Right. And I have invested, financially in coaches. And then I've also obtain things for free. You know, read some books, listen to some podcasts.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. So if you could define your ideal client,
Yes.
What would that look like?
That's a good question. I don't really have an ideal sector of clients. I mean, as prefaced, there's certain industries I work better just from my background than from not knowing.
Right.
But I would say the ideal client is coachable and teachable and willing. And really that's all it takes is someone who just says, I know I need this, I'm willing to invest, and I'm willing to make changes, right? It's that willing spirit. I tend to stay in sectors that are more like hospitality driven. And when I say hospitality, that's really client facing. So that could be, it literally could be anything that people are engaged in working with clients, whether that's sending emails, answering phone calls, greeting people upon arrival or entrance. And then it's also just kind of like an etiquette, you know? I mean, are they a call center? Are they answering phones? Are they a restaurant? Are they a bank? Are they somewhere that there's engagement with clients and they're client facing? So that's kind of one area that I work in. The second area would be commissionable salespeople. So those...
That's like a good chunk of our people.
That's a good chunk, yes. So people that are responsible for building their pipeline.
Yep.
So commissionable salespeople are typically responsible for building their own pipeline.
Yes.
And the follow-up and the follow-through and asking for referrals and building business from business. So that's a lot of industries.
Well, and that takes quite the personality, and that you have to have that drive.
Yes.
You absolutely. Do you run across people that you finally say, I think you should look at another career for you because the drive is not there, and I'm afraid your finances are going to suffer, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's kind of in the same realm of it's not who companies hire, it's who they fire. Oftentimes I find that, you know, when in working with people, like you're just not in the right seat on the right bus.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's just not right here.
Right.
So we need to help find that.
Absolutely. And, you know, maybe they were in a situation like I was where they took a job to have an income.
Yes.
And they know that they have a skill set. Yes, we've all done that. Probably several times, right? But we provide a skill set that we know that we have.
Right.
We know we can be good at it based on just our past track record, but it's not in alignment with really what do we want, what are we good at, what are we passionate about? Are we serving others with that passion?
Right.
And then the last kind of sector that I work in is individuals. So I have a heart for people that were in my situation that are like, I have this skill set, I don't know what to do with it. And am I even qualified and competent to execute what I think I know I'm good at, right?
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up. I mean, I think there are people in positions that they are in the right position. They just don't know how to kind of bring it out.
Right.
In a confident manner.
Right. And
I mean, you're like, you're going to be great at this. Trust yourself.
Right. Starting a business is scary.
Yes.
And especially when it's you, yourself, and you.
Yeah.
Out there, you're the walking.
You can't fire you.
You can, real quick. But you also, you know, you're your own walking, talking billboard. You're your marketing piece. You're your whole brand.
Yes.
And that can be really intimidating. It still is. I mean, there's times where, you know, you're just like, am I qualified? Do they really want me? Or, you know, can I do this? Have I had enough experience to be able to help? I mean, I think we all kind of play that game.
Definitely.
You know, and it turns into confidence builds competence. And competence builds confidence. So the more you do it, the more confident you become. And the more confident you build, then your competency increases. And it takes time.
And I think that's really hard, especially people first starting in the workplace, you know, that I think young people can come out and feel, I just want to go do it.
Oh, for sure. This is easy.
Dude, I've been doing this for 30 years and it's still, I have to practice a few times or just really get myself, you know, in the right mindset to go do it.
Yes.
And it just takes time.
It does. And it takes headspace, right? I mean, we are our worst critic and we live in our own negative thoughts, right?
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. So looking at your website,
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't want to redirect everyone to the website, as it's a really beautiful landing page for now.
Okay, let's talk about a few of your podcasts that you've done.
Yeah, that I will talk about.
There you go.
Yes.
There you
Okay.
go. So I know there's 5 of them that I wanted to bring up, and you already talked about sort of the where you come up with the alignment. You know, how it's in your head and you saw it, and and that's sort of where that came. So if you put the acronym ALIGN, what would that stand for? A-L-I-G-N.
Yes. So I started to kind of put together, like, what does it really mean to be aligned?
Yeah.
And what made, that evolve into what it is. And so I started thinking, of the letters and just started kind of questioning in my own mind, like, what does it really mean to be aligned? And the A stands for ask and audit. So that's kind of an internal, introspective exercise where a person can ask themselves, like, am I aligned? Am I doing what I want to do? Is this serving me? Is this aligning with my core values? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Am I miserable? If I am, what needs to change, right? And just kind of giving yourself this audit.
Right.
And it doesn't matter your age. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. You can be in your 20s asking yourself, like, is this where I want to go the next 5 to 10 years? Or you can be in your 50s and going, is this what I want for the next 10 years?
Right. Or, this is the end of my career. I really want to try this now. And don't be afraid to do it.
Right, right. I've seen people reinvent themselves in their 50s and 60s that, who are just incredible.
Right.
Like, they're just willing to do it, right? The willing spirit. L is the listen. And so making a list of things. I'm a huge advocate on write it down. There's something that transfers from your brain to your pen and pencil.
Absolutely. I have lists all over.
Yes. So do you make lists for, like, tasks that you have to do? Okay. Yep.
Absolutely.
I am, check it off the box, put a line through it.
I love putting the line through it. It's complete.
Yes, there's something, you can't do that on an iPhone or a tablet, right? So making a list and listing out things that you're good at, or things that people have told you that you're good at. So maybe you've had a friend or a sibling or a coworker say, Mel, you're really good at this. And if you write that down and you see it, you're like, yeah, I am really good at that. And it might be something like, I'm a really good baker and I'm really good at serving people. I'm not either. That's the worst example. Maybe I should say, I'm really good at hosting parties, right? Yes, not a good baker. But there's things that we hear and that we absorb as you're good at this. And let's get that on paper and look at it.
Right.
Do we align with that, right? And is what I'm doing aligning with that list? Okay, you're gonna have to remind me. Okay, A-L-I. Yes, is
spell it in my
integrate.
head.
I know. I was like, where are we here? Integrate is, are you working that into your daily life? Is that something that you're using to navigate? Where are you going? And I knew that me helping people for the past decades of training and development, mentoring, coaching, struggling on my own and knowing all the wrong ways to get something done, right? And figure it out. I knew that a gift of mine is taking and transferring skills. And as a coach, I don't want people dependent on me. I want to create independence so that they feel confident doing things their way, right?
Wow.
Let me help transfer the tools and the resources so that you can go do your thing. I don't want dependency, right?
Exactly.
And then gauge, or G is gauge, and that is, how are you assessing yourself? How are you looking at what you're doing is working or not working? And what I typically relay that back to is, how do you define success? Because everyone is going to define it differently, and that's kind of your compass. How are you gauging? And if if you say my definition of success is peace, I want peace at the end of the day. I just want to feel peace in what I'm doing and
no
joy.
More anxious or stress.
And I can sleep at night. Or for some people, it might be, if I have a certain amount of income, I know there's money in the bank, and that gives me safety and security.
Right.
Or maybe I'm a power and achievement person and I want the title, right? And so it's all a definition of, how do you define success and how are you gauging that? How do you know you're making progress, or how do you know that you're not in the right place?
Right.
And then the last one, N, is navigate. And that is just that you're in charge of you. You steer your ship. And you have to know when to make small pivots and small turns. Sometimes the ship needs to go 180 degrees.
Right.
And other times it's just a quick little shift in the steering wheel, right? And where we just have to course correct and say, okay, that just didn't work, and now I'm going to go here.
Right.
So,
and not be afraid to kind of move back and forth until you feel that that comfort spot.
Yes. Yep. Just a little sway.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a 180.
No.
Sometimes there's
Sometimes
room
that's
for that.
needed, but
yes.
Okay, that's great. And then you have indecision is a decision.
Yes.
So
how many times have you thought about doing something and you just sat on the fence for a while?
Oh, I've done that. I call it procrastination, but
that's exactly what it is, right? And so one of my podcast titles is Indecision is a Decision. We don't realize how much it costs us to not just make a decision. We're so scared of, if I go this route, if I take this turn, I can't go back, or I can't navigate a different way. It's not true, right? And so that indecision of, I'm just not going to do anything, you're actually making a decision to not move forward.
Yes. In my head, I kind of play the role of, what's the worst case scenario?
Perfect.
So if I can live with what's in my head as the worst case scenario, then I'm going to move forward.
Absolutely.
So,
and typically when you do that, do you find it's just not that deep?
No.
Right?
Well, no, in my head, I just like, oh my God, I'll be homeless or something. Can I? I won't ever be homeless. I have family and things.
Right.
So I just talk myself right out of it. So then I can move forward.
That's another thing I encourage people to do with making a list is sometimes their indecision or their fear, if they write it down and they actually see it on paper, I tell them to unpack it. Like, keep going. What's the worst that could happen?
Yes.
And that sounds negative. It's really not.
No.
Because what people find is that they're very resourceful.
Yes.
They're very resourceful. And so even if they get to the end of the list and it's 6, 7 things deep, and they're like, well, that's really bad.
But
and
I can live with that.
Right. And I say, but what can you do about it?
Yeah.
They have a solution. And so I love that you said that. It's just like, what is the worst that can happen? Unpack it. So it's usually not that deep. It's usually like 3 things.
Yeah.
Three things.
In my head, I go homeless all the way. But
so if you were homeless, I assure you I have a room for you.
That's just it. That's just it. I have people.
Yes, you have people. You have a network.
I do.
Right?
I do.
Build your network big so you're never homeless. Yes.
Then we have the golden nuggets.
Yes. So I'm a huge advocate of collecting golden nuggets from people, collecting good words and phrases. And again, like I said at the beginning, I didn't invent water.
Right.
So I have learned from some of the best and the brightest, and that's where I take my knowledge and I apply it. What I like about golden nuggets is it's just, you don't need everything. You just need 1 or 2 things that will drive you forward, you know? And in my podcast, I believe it's called Golden Nuggets. I just give a few things that I've picked up along the way. And, you know, I love to hear from other people, like, what's something that you've adopted? What's a good habit that you've taken on this year? You know, not the good old January resolutions.
I don't ever make it through January.
No. But, you know, maybe there's a phrase or something that stuck with you, or just a quick thing that your mind can go back to when it starts to tell you other things.
Right.
Or just, you know, one of my favorite golden nuggets is a phrase that I heard, never take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. That's an easy golden nugget, right? Just kind of makes me think, like, why would I extend and expend energy to hear something that I'm not going to, that doesn't mean anything to me, right? Or they're not where I want to be, so why would I follow and emulate them?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Perfect sense.
Yes.
That's good. And then I have these glasses. It really is not fun getting older, I will tell you.
Oh, it's such a privilege.
I like it.
Yes.
Persistent and consistent. I have a little thing, and I've told Nick this before, I'm pleasantly persistent.
I love that. What does that mean to you?
To me, it's like you have to almost tell me no 3 or 4 times, maybe more.
Right?
In my world, as business development, you need to be persistent.
Absolutely.
And consistent. They both worked, absolutely.
Yes.
And when I first started doing it, I knew I was fearful to be persistent.
Sure.
You don't want to be rejected.
Right.
doesn't faze me anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
You kind of build that up, and maybe you go back to the worst case scenario. But
Right.
I have become more persistent as I get older.
Yes. Well, it's almost, think how busy we are.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, there's times where I will get text messages and I go back at the end of the night, I'm like, how did I miss this? It's 12 deep in my text messages, right? And then I laugh at some of my friends when I see their phones and I'm like, you have 147 missed text messages. Where are you all day, right? So we're all busy. And I feel that when we are persistent, and I love that you said pleasantly persistent, we're not there to bug anybody.
No, but I need to do my job.
Right. So. We're there to remind them that we're there.
Exactly.
And they don't need us till they need us.
Yes, exactly. I
Right?
mean, I'm here if you need me.
Right.
Things come up, our storms happen. It's like just checking in. Is everybody okay here?
Yes.
So
I find that is a great service to people, right?
Yeah.
And you may not even be hearing no. You might be hearing nothing. Right? And it's just ghosting on the other end.
Yes.
However, when they need you, they're going to remember your persistence and consistency.
Yeah.
And consistency really is just doing what you say you're going to do over and over again. That builds trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is critical. I mean, Omaha is a great city. I love Omaha.
Yes.
And it's a small city.
It is.
So,
it is.
Reputation. You got to have that.
You do. Yes. And being consistent. Yes.
And then secrets of the successful.
I don't remember what that podcast is about, but I think it's probably somewhere in like with the golden nuggets, right? Of just things that people do that they don't realize that they're doing. Just like you said, being persistent and consistent, that is a secret of success.
I think combining all of the top 4 together is your secret for success.
Right?
There you go.
Yes. So again, I record these and then I don't go back and listen to them because I love the sound of my own voice, right? Like everyone does.
They were wonderful. I
Thank you.
listened to them, so it was really good. Okay, and we're just going to jump over to the other little topic here. So the Global Women's Forum.
Yes.
Talk to us about how you are empowering women through the Global Women's Forum.
Yes, so Marco LaRocque is the one that is the founder of Global Women's Forum, and it's been 3 years that he's done this in a row, and I jumped in year 2, and he just asked me to be the host. And so it's evolved and it even got better this year. And one thing with the Global Women's Forum is that we really want to make it different than other types of events. So there is inspiration, there's a little bit of education, kind of a panel style of women speaking and answering questions. But it's really more about a celebration. And it's, our theme this year was Step Forward for Growth. And so it's about empowerment. It's about overcoming that negative chatter in our head, the imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
All of those things that every single person struggles with on some level. So that empowerment factor is just, women coming in and seeing another woman that's done something that she wants to do.
Right.
And, if they can sit up on stage and be in a panel and other women in the audience are thinking, I could never do that. Well, they thought they could never do that too, right?
Exactly.
So it's just, it's giving hope and inspiration of if I can do it, you can do it too.
Wonderful.
So yes, it's a wonderful, incredible organization, and I'm excited to see it continue on. It's kind of in the infancy stages. So to see that grow is going to be incredible. And we had Deshauna Barber, who was our keynote speaker this year. She was the first African-American active military to win Miss Universe. No, Miss USA? Miss USA?
Let's say Miss
the whole globe, right? Miss USA. And so that was incredible just to have her tell her story and overcome challenges. And, we all at the end of the day just have those same little insecurities, right?
Absolutely.
Am I good enough?
Even this person that is up there and you're thinking they have no fear.
Polished, beautiful, perfection. Yeah, she was nervous to go on stage too.
Yep.
So, yes.
Was there anything else that you want to share with us that maybe I forgot to touch on? Or
I don't think so. I just, again, want to thank you for inviting me to be here. And, if you have any storm damage, I think Mel would be more than happy to help out there. So,
real quick question here at the end. So if Royalty Roofing was your client, what was it that what was the first step you would take to kind of help us out?
Sure. First thing I would do is take a consultative approach.
Okay.
Come in, have a conversation, meet the people, find out what's working, what's some areas of improvement. How do you want that to look? Who's, kind of the one spearheading it? So very consultative at first. I mean, it's a lot of Q&A. It's a lot of me listening and observing and taking in information. Second step to that would be I would create and devise some kind of a plan. Big advocate on know yourself, know your people, and how do you work in harmony.
Right.
And so when you are very self-aware and you're emotionally intelligent to be enough aware of others, you can create harmony in any working environment. I don't know what challenges royalty would have.
Right.
Maybe it's your business development, so that's covered. But maybe there's something like we want to grow a little bit bigger,
Right.
or we need more people, or we need to better understand how we can all work together more efficiently.
Right.
Every company has a challenge, every company. And, there wouldn't be anyone that doesn't have some kind of
And then I
challenge.
would think after a while you would just kind of touch base, come
Yes.
back and say, all right, here's my quarterly check-in, monthly check-in, whatever the case may be.
Yep. There's some larger companies that I work with that I'm on retainer, and so I just work with them, maybe every week or every month. And there's individuals that I work with, maybe bi-weekly or bi-monthly, where we just kind of check in and see how things are going. The companies, I typically tend to work, from the top down and then collaboratively.
Right.
And just kind of figure out, what are their needs? What challenges do they have? And if I'm the right person, how can I help? And if I'm not, how can I direct you to the right coach?
All right. Oh, that sounds great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really
Thank you for
enjoyed
having
our
me.
conversation.
I did too. Yes.
So, again, Royalty Roofing. We're here to help out with any roofing, siding, gutter needs that you may have.